And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thomson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
Let me turn my earphones down.
It is a new year for MMA. 2024 it has happened. We are among it now. It is time to get this damn year going. We need some fights, Josh. I didn't think that I'd start like jonesing, but I've been jonesing for some fights. I mean, obviously I have an addiction.
Yeah, it's an addict, man. You're an addict, buddy. Whether it's to shooting guns or reffing or just looking up fights, whatever it is. I think that's the problem with fighters in general. We're addicts. Just it could be, if it wasn't for fighting, we'd probably be addicted to something else.
Oh, you know? Dude, I always said if it wasn't for fighting, I'd have been a bum on the streets.
Well, I mean, you were a cop, so it's.
Well, see, if it wasn't for violence,
you just hung around. You just basically bummed around the streets and tried
that's
to
it, man. Bum around the
arrest
streets.
people. No,
yeah,
and since you've left LA, I mean, they've just gotten worse. So.
Thank you very much, which tells you everything you need to know.
Yes, exactly. Look, guys, I'm playing with the background over here. I mean, I have a whole new setup today and a whole new background, so we're playing around with this, and hopefully you guys like this little image over. I had a fan. His name was Steven. He drove it all the way up from LA one time. This was right after my this was the after you were actually not in this. You're in the photo of this, but you're not actually in the painting of this. But this was my
I get cut out all the time.
This
it's
was
okay.
This is my Pat Healy fight.
Yeah.
And man, what a
Tough
rough
fight.
one. What a rough one. It was a rough one.
Yeah,
but I thought it was a great picture. He paid it. Lives down in like the LA area. He drove it up to AKA and hand delivered it to me. Very
That was very
awesome.
Very nice of him.
Awesome job. I thought he did a great job. Showed my jawline. Showed a couple of little abs.
Jesus! Yeah, when you had abs.
When I did have abs, I talked to the people over at CPI. They said, "Look, if you're feeling good, you're feeling great. You can go ahead and start running now. Do it. Like if it starts to hurt, stop. We're actually almost exactly 30 days now. So I'm feeling pretty good. Wrist is the only thing. Like I'm afraid to do any like pull-ups or push-ups on it, but everything else feels good, man. Knees feeling good, hips feeling good, neck
push-ups like this.
I know, man.
That's the only way.
I'm kind of soft. Those days are gone, buddy. I'm not trying to prove anything. Those days are gone.
Nah, I can't. My wrists don't flex back now, so it's like every time I do put it's on fist.
I can't do them on this hand, on the hand that I had the injections in. On this hand, I can, but the thing is, on this hand, I can't put my wrist forward because I got a cadaver on the backside, and so it doesn't. There's no flex. It's just that's it. This is as far as like see how this wrist, even though it's messed up, I can go like this. And then
that's your gay side, right?
Wow, aggressive today.
All right.
So
it's all right,
So no. Someone woke up today and chose violence. That's what happened. And then look at this. This one's like this is as far as it can go. It doesn't go any further. So it is what it is. No,
I liked your little thing. You're showing yourself cooking with your tomahawk steak.
Yes.
You did like my response.
Yeah,
because it was the correct response.
I mean, but John, what was
Go ahead.
Go back. What was the response?
The response is you had two pictures, and then you actually it wasn't your steak. I know it wasn't your steak that you had the video of.
Yes, it was.
But okay, so it was your steak, and you're sitting there pressing on it, and all the juices are kind of coming out. And I told you, Josh, how many times have I told you to stop playing with your meat?
Man, I've been told that since I was about 5 years old, bro.
Can't stop.
No.
Not gonna stop.
It's just funny to watch it rise when you
it's
just flick
mine, and I'll play with it when I want.
Yeah, right. My body, my choice.
There you go. That's it.
We're starting off on fire today. Look, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna try something new today, you guys. We're gonna try to break down just strictly the fight, and then we're gonna produce some extra clips for you guys that are going to go on to our onlyfans.com/weighing-in. It's going to talk about a lot of the news, and there's a lot of news to talk about. But you guys can go to onlyfans.com/weighing-in, subscribe to us over there. And it is free. We don't charge anything over there. We're not actually trying to charge you guys for any extra content. We want you guys just to subscribe to us there. We only do our live show on that on OnlyFans. Check us out. Look, now that fights are coming about, we're going to try to talk more in depth about the actual fights. Like I'm saying, like deep dives into these fights, talking about the cornering, talking about, what's next for them, talking about where we could see them by the end of the year, all of these type of things that we're going to try to break down more in depth on our live chats and our live shows over on onlyfans.com/weighing-in. So subscribe. It is free, not hard, pretty easy. And we want to thank you guys for always supporting us. John, let's go ahead and break right into this, to this card. It's the first card of the year. And I actually was a little surprised that it was so good coming in the first card of the year. It's a pretty stacked card.
It's a good card.
Yeah.
It's one of those you take a look at. The main event it's obviously a rematch of a fight that ended with a foul, and it was called a no contest. And we kind of got to see a little bit of what was capable of happening between the two. And it'll be interesting to see, will either fighter or will both fighters change their approach now that they've actually had a little bit of a feel for their opponents, seen what they have, seen that size, the length of Johnny Walker. Will say, is Magomed going to start to try to wrestle sooner, or is he going to go right back to his striking? It's an interesting match. Look, both these guys are good. And let's be honest, Ankalaev is in the top of the light heavyweight division. And he's a guy that you could say he could be the champion, if he fought smarter sometimes and used his skill set the way that, you would really want him to. But many times he goes about, being a stand-up fighter, and his stand-up is good, but his wrestling is damn good too. And there's many times he could take the fight, you would think, to the ground, but he likes to be in the stand-up. And against Johnny Walker, I think you're facing Johnny's strength by putting him in the stand-up game, especially with the explosiveness of Johnny Walker, the knees that he brings up. He can bring that knee up very high. He's very good at, you try to take him down, he can bounce off of one leg and he lands shots that hurts people. This is a great matchup. It really is. And again, like we saw a little bit, but we didn't see enough.
Yeah.
And so this is an interesting rematch. I'm glad they put it back together.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys go back to our year-end show and kind of where I thought I would end up seeing Ankalaev by the end of 2024, John, what was my pick?
You said he would be wearing the belt.
I said I thought he'd be wearing the belt if we could get him to fight a little bit smarter. Like, utilize the rest. I'm not saying you need to go out there and just lay and pray, but what I'm saying, though, is go out there and utilize something that you have worked so hard for over all your years of training. You can wrestle better than any of these guys in this weight class. I'm a firm believer. Like, if he just sticks to it, and I'm not saying he needs to go out there, I said, like, and lay and pray. Stick the combinations in the face, throw the kicks, let the hands fly a little bit, get them to retaliate, and go ahead and get that easy takedown. Control the top position, make them work to get back to their feet, and then go ahead and let the hands fly again until you get another easy takedown. I feel like if he was to take that style and that approach with Johnny Walker, this would probably be one of his easiest fights in the division. But the fact that he doesn't fight smart puts him in this position of potentially being knocked out. Now, if I recall in the first fight, I can't remember what you commented on my steak, but as I recall in this fight here, which was way before my steak, was that he hit Walker with a really nice body shot. And in that body shot, Johnny kind of hunched over, and luckily he didn't wrestle. Ankalaev didn't wrestle that time because Johnny threw a flying knee right at the right moment that would have decapitated him. But you've got to know when to set these things up. And I think he saw the writing on the wall. Johnny's known for those explosive movements. And just letting those hands go, coming forward, setting them up, waiting for Johnny Walker to retaliate is the perfect opportunity to lower your level, to get in on the body lot, or just snatch the single and get to the takedown. If he takes that approach, I can't see him not being champion by the end of 2024.
See, but Johnny Walker has been a much smarter fighter ever since he decided to go to Ireland and SBG. Him and John Kavanagh have really hit it off. John comes up with good game plans, and for the most part, Johnny has been following those, and he's been successful. He's gotten his career back because he was in that position where he'd been getting knocked out big time by some guys, and you can only take so many. And I think Ankalaev kind of looked at it like, I can knock him out. I can knock, I'll knock him out too. And it's very possible he can, but it's going to be an easier thing to have happen if he has to deal with more than just your stand-up. Make him have to think about you taking him down. Make him have to worry about some of those things that you're so good at, and put him in a position where he's not comfortable. That doesn't mean he's on his back, but not comfortable knowing exactly what you're going to do. Because when you have someone who's guessing, then the fight becomes hard for him.
Johnny Walker's an extremely talented person. John Kavanaugh is one of the best coaches in the game.
Yep.
Where I look at this fight, though, John, is that Johnny Walker, his only chance is to get the knockout. I don't see a submission there. I don't see a ground and pound. Maybe in the exchange, he clips him, in the exchange of getting up.
You don't think he could submit him?
No.
He's got a hell of a darce.
I don't think he can submit him. I don't think there's any opportunity outside of him catching him in an exchange, because Johnny Walker, I think, is the faster, unorthodox style of stand-up. The punches and kicks will come from weird angles in moments that Ankalaev will not be expecting it. So when I talk about John Kavanaugh and his game planning, it's going to be very hard for him to run up a game plan when you're dealing with the fighter who's not as good as your opponent. I don't think that Johnny Walker doesn't have the wrestling, doesn't have the submission, doesn't have the stand-up, the cleanliness, the actual true technique of fighting. Johnny Walker is not on the level of Ankalaev. That doesn't mean he can't win. He's got the power. He's got the shot. I feel like he's a little bit more explosive than Ankalaev. Yeah, he's more explosive, and I think he's got more power in his hands. And like I said, the punches that come from weird angles, those traditional style fighters that are used to clean technique, they have a harder time dealing with it because punches come from upwards, from cross over the top, angles, over the top. Like, they're not used to defending those type of techniques when they come in. How does someone like John Kavanaugh game plan for that against someone who is, to me, I feel like Ankalaev is the better fighter all the way around.
Well, do you not kind of take a page out of what Jan Blachowicz kind of did in their title fight and start to say, we're going to eat up his leg. I want you to eat that leg, that lead leg up, because we saw that Ankalaev, he puts a lot of weight on that front foot. That is part of the way that, he applies his stand-up game. If you're Johnny Walker, why not attack that low? Look at the low calf kick it's a game changer. It's an equalizer. It can take someone who has a decided advantage, and then all of a sudden the advantage is gone because it deadens the leg to the point where you can't really use it in the same fashion. You can't shoot off of it. You can't really bounce off of it or feel like, you have stability in your stand-up. It's a game changer. And I think that Jan Blachowicz basically showed how to attack Ankalaev. He just didn't continue on with it for long enough.
I would agree. The only problem is it was a calf kick, but it was an inside low calf kick. And I felt like it was more bone on bone. And he was able to catch him a couple good shots to that bone. And then, as well as I know, when you start catching that inside leg kick on the bone, or you check something, that anything after that starts to accumulate and hurts. No different than an outside calf kick, but that's more muscular and like that nerve that runs down that leg. What is it called? The perennial nerve? Yeah. So that's doing damage there. That to me, like Jan Blachowicz, your shins have to be conditioned for something like that. I don't know if at the level of which Johnny Walker's shins are conditioned like that. It really comes down to how Jan, Polish power, maybe Polish denseness of the bones. I don't know. But for somehow, some way, it was working for Jan Blachowicz. That cannot be said. It may not be able to be said for Johnny Walker.
It's true. It might not be, but it's a hell of the blueprint's there. It worked.
I agree. And we've talked about this before. Once one fighter shows a blueprint to beating somebody, or at least having success in something, other fighters pick it up right away, because now they want to make sure that, hey, if this is working for him and I put this in my toolbox, that I can utilize it against other people and see how much success I can have against other people with it.
Yeah.
So
true.
I mean, but John, wait, you're not getting away though. Give me a winner. Go. You're not getting away. It's a main event. Give me a winner.
It is so hard to go against Ankalaev, and that's because he is fundamentally a sound fighter everywhere. Johnny Walker, I really like, and I've had great conversations with Johnny, and he's a good person, and he can win this fight. But I got to say, the favorite to win the fight has got to be Ankalaev.
I mean, I can't go against Ankalaev. I just feel, I mean, I picked him to be a champ in 2024. Yeah. I can't start the year off with a loss.
Yeah, you could do it. You could do it after he loses.
Yeah, right. No, but I think that if Ankalaev was to fight smart, like I said, get Johnny Walker to open up. And once he starts to open up, start to level change, get in deep on the body locks or the single legs, whatever it is. And at least threaten it to slow and make Johnny a little bit more hesitant on his explosiveness and his big shots.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep. Next fight.
All right, our co-main event is Matheus Nicolau against your man, Manel Kape. This is a great matchup, and this is going to say a lot about where Manel's at as a fighter.
Well, this is a rematch.
Yeah. This is a great fight again.
Split decision the first time. Great matchup the first time.
And who lost?
Manel Kape. And he lost because of why? Because we had talked about this on the year-end show, just actually not year-end, last week's show. We talked about how Manel, he's having a hard time throughout his career stopping guys' takedowns, or at least, I mean, he's able to stop it, or he does get taken down. He's able to pop back up to his feet, but it just looks bad.
Yeah, but he also gets a little to the point where his stand-up is really good. I have nothing to say, but he leaves himself open at times trying to be, fast and flashy in what he's doing, and he gets caught. And when you're taking a look at Nicolau, he's good. He is very fundamentally sound. He's got speed. Anybody fighting at flyweight's got speed, but he's got speed in his hands. Maybe not as much as Manel, who is very fast, but this is an outstanding flyweight matchup.
I mean, John, I'm looking when I see Nicolau, he's a very sound fighter. He doesn't do anything that's great. He's got decent wrestling. He's got decent jiu-jitsu. He's got good top position. He's good on the feet. He's a very well-rounded fighter. He's not great anywhere. His jiu-jitsu
is pretty damn good.
It is. If I was to say where he's good in terms of his better qualities, it would be his jiu-jitsu. But when I saw him fight Manel the first time, he was so hesitant to get in because he was afraid of getting in or not being able to get in deep enough and be putting himself in a bad situation. He had some success in getting the takedowns and then didn't have some success in some areas. Manel, I feel like in that first fight, I feel like he learned a lot from that fight. It was a split decision loss. It was mainly like Nicolau was able just to touch him in moments where he shouldn't have been touched. Manel got lazy in some moments by not moving his head off line, by not keeping his footwork moving. All of those things added up to where you became a stationary target. And it didn't matter where Nicolau threw the punch, it was able to land. And that's the reason why you keep that step in your foot. That's the reason why you're moving left and right and lateral movement here and there. You're giving feints. You're getting them to react and then throwing something right back. I think Manel's learned a lot since that fight. I think you're going to see a different fighter come in. And he's also, I think, settled in terms of he knows that all I've got to do is use my athleticism, use my aggressiveness to my advantage. Stuff the takedowns, let the hands fly, make them pay every time they miss. I think he's got a good chance of getting this win. The first fight was very close, and I feel like he didn't fight anywhere near his potential.
But if you're in Nicolau's camp, don't you sit there and say, hey, we are much better in one area. We are much better on the ground than our opponent. Why not work at taking it there?
I feel like if Manel was offered this fight again, he knows he wants to get it back. I feel like he understands the only place that he can really lose this fight is on the ground. So he needs, I think in his last two fights, he's learned a lot in terms of hey, three fights, whatever. Learned a lot. And I can't afford to let these guys keep getting in on me, keep getting deep shots, and not fighting to the bitter end to get away. Sometimes he lets him get in or doesn't let him get in. They work their way in. But then he doesn't defend all the way till he's free. He defends enough to where he can start striking a little bit, and then he starts throwing, and they just reshoot. So it's shot, he defends, and then they reshoot when he tries to let his hands go. So he's got to be, he's got to start to stay a little bit more composed and controlled when he is defending the takedowns, and once he makes the space, then letting the hands go to make him pay.
Yeah,
I mean, John, he's so athletic. He's so fast, so athletic. The movement,
no doubt about
all of those things combined, I just feel like, look, if he can put together, what is he on, like a 3 or 4 fight win streak, I think, right now? Look it up, Dave. Manel Cop. What is he on? Is it 2 or 3? 3. 4. Sorry, 4. Yeah, I mean, it's there. His last loss was to Ankalaev. So he beat Osborne. He beat it with a flying knee and punches. Then TKO with Zumagulov. And then I don't know how you say his name, Dvorak. Yeah, him. Dvorak. And then that was the decision. And his last one with Dos Santos, the decision as well. I mean, Dos Santos is no slouch, man. Very, very tough fight.
That was a good fight, though.
It was a good fight. If he fights similar to that, I think he'll have a good chance of getting this win because, like I said, I didn't see a very good performance out of him in the first fight. When I went back and watched it, I didn't see a good performance out of Manel. He didn't utilize any of his weapons. He looked like he got a little fatigued coming in the halfway through the second round, slowed down for sure in the third. Just wasn't the same fighter,
Yeah. Well, the fight with Felipe Dos Santos, that was a last-minute replacement. That's both good and bad for him because it's not easy for either fighter. But, Felipe Dos Santos came in and put on a hell of a performance against Manel in that he struck with him, and a lot of guys will not. And he stood in there and he was throwing down the entire time. So it was a nice win by Manel because he had someone that wasn't backing off of him.
But Ankalaev, though, I will give Ankalaev this, though. Ankalaev has the confidence going in, knowing that he's already beat Manel. Like, I've already felt how fast you are. I've already felt your power. Okay, I know your explosiveness on the takedown defense. You'll have some similar tendencies when you're defending the takedown. So now how can I make those adjustments in new styles of takedowns that I can get to you and then try to finish you different ways to get you to the bottom? Those are all confidence builders. It's easier to get into a camp. It's easier, right? 4. Yeah, start round 4.
Start around 4.
But mentally, he's got the advantage, I think, right now going into this fight.
Should.
Yep.
All right, then we have the Iron Man. Jim Miller coming in against Mowgli, Gabriel Benitez. That's a lightweight fight. Benitez has fought most of his career at featherweight, but Jim Miller just is unstoppable. They say he's going to be at UFC 300. He says, yep, and I will not retire there. So Jim Miller is crazy, but man, he is fun to watch, and he is a true competitor and just a guy that you look at, man. What he's done while in the UFC has been pretty remarkable because he started off in the IFL, if you remember, him and his brother.
Yep.
And just had a remarkable career with the UFC.
Yeah, John, when I talk to Mowgli and then I've seen Jim over his last couple of performances, there's nothing in here, and I'm not taking anything away from Jim. We know that he's a legend in the sport. We know he's done everything you possibly can do outside of winning the title. That's it. Like he's fought everyone, who's who. He's had great fights, not so great fights, and just legendary fights also. But I look at Mowgli and where he's at right now. There's no reason why he should lose this fight. The speed's on his side. He's got beautiful kicks. The boxing's on his side.
Hard kicks.
Yep. The power should be on his side. The wrestling is going to be on Jim Miller's side, but Jim now
wrestling and ground game is going to be on Miller's side.
It is, but at the age that he is, that wrestling is not going to be as easy as it was when we were 28, 29, 31, 32. And we understand that. The physical strength is going to go mainly to the younger kid, and that's going to be Mowgli. Mowgli's he's not that young, but I'm saying he's younger. Right now he's kind of in his prime. I think he's 32, somewhere around there.
30, I thought 34.
Okay, somewhere around there, but that's still younger than almost 40.
Oh, yeah. A lot younger. Yeah, 35.
35.
Damn.
So he's kind of on that teeter-totter.
Precipice.
Yeah. Use that word again. Do it one more time.
He's on the precipice.
Precipice. Okay.
That's right.
I'm going to look that one up.
The peak before we go down.
Oh, man. I love it. All right. So, I mean, like when I look at Mowgli, the thing that Mowgli, though, lives off of, John, is that rear leg body kick. That will not be effective against Jim Miller because they're both southpaws.
That's true.
So he's going to have to work now. That doesn't mean that he can't tear up that calf. It's very rare you find two southpaws that get to fight each other, and then one person now they have to go inside of going inside leg kick or inside or up to the body, to the liver. Now he can go right to the calf kick. So we're going to see who can defend what, calf kick wise. And we're going to see if it's utilized by either one of them. Because do they really practice it knowing not everyone they get to fight is going to be southpaw? So
good point.
Because every time I've sparred with Mowgli, that son of a bitch.
He kicks hard.
He kicks hard, and it's quick, and sometimes it's to the body and to the ribs and the liver. And then sometimes it's just a little toe punt right into your gut with his toe. If the commission allows him, he'll tape his first two toes, and he will just jab that thing over and over like Kung Lee used to do, right up into the gut. And that shit hurts, John. It's disgusting. Oh, yeah. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's not disgusting if you're the one inflicting it.
This is true.
Only if you're the one being inflicted upon.
Yes.
All right, we have Ricky Simon against Mario Bautista. This is actually a really good matchup. This is it's interesting because Bautista is a guy, he's just a scrapper. Mm-hmm. Good in the stand-up, good on the ground. He doesn't have Ricky Simon's wrestling, but Ricky really doesn't wrestle near as much as he used to, even though he will at times. Mm-hmm. But his stand-up has gotten much better. This is an interesting fight. Mario Bautista is he's a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, a little spark plug. I look at, is it Ricky Simon or is it Ricky Simone? Which one is it?
Ricky Simone.
Ricky Simone? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know, are we calling him Simon or are we calling him Simone? I mean, I've heard Ricky Simone on air.
I've heard both.
I've heard both. That's what I'm saying. I've heard both.
I believe it's Simone.
So Ricky, let's just call him Ricky. So Ricky's wrestling is some of the best in the game in that weight class.
Yeah.
He's gotten away from it, like you said. His boxing's gotten a little bit better, though. Yep. But he hasn't really been fighting as smart. Like, in the beginning, he was a bulldog. Then he went to fighting smart, and then now it seems like he's just fighting to conserve his ranking. So when you're doing that, you're not fighting with the intent of winning. I've seen a little bit of that step back. He's not fighting with the intent of winning instead of getting after it like he was when he first exploded onto the scene in the UFC. He early in his career was a bulldog, man. So I'll fight you, I'll take you down, I'll grind out of things. He was that aggressor the whole time. And as of lately, since he started getting ranked, he started fighting a little bit more conservative. Now, some people will say that's fighting smart. John, I would agree. There's moments where you have to fight smart, and there's moments where you've got to be that dog. I feel like in this fight, he's got to be that dog because this is a fight against Bautista that he needs to show the world that he belongs there. He should dismantle Bautista. He should be able to walk through him, utilizing every single tool he has, whether it's wrestling, whether it's his boxing, be the aggressor, bully him around that cage from beginning bell to the end bell.
He's coming off of a loss, right?
Who, Ricky Simone?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, because I was trying to get him I was trying to get him to fight Umar, but then he's Yadong Song. Yeah, TKO punches.
And he's in that position. You don't want to allow the second one to sneak in there, and then you're riding some trouble. So this is an important fight for him. And it's definitely a fight he can win, but he's got to fight smart, like you're saying.
Yep.
And he's really got to be the guy, and he's very good at pressing and being smart in the way he does it, but being the guy that is the pressure attacker and continuing that pressure. So we'll see if he can do that. Phil Haas is taking on Bruno Ferreira. Phil Haas has had an up and down crazy. He looks like a world beater in one fight, and then all of a sudden things just kind of derail for him on the next fight. He's got all the skills, all the talent. He's strong as hell. He can wrestle. He's got good stand-up, but people have found his chin a couple of times, and that's been his downfall.
Yeah, John, I thought he was on the rise. He got tired in, I think, in one of his first two fights in the UFC. He got tired, really tired. And they matched him up against Duran Win. Then he was able to get a win over Duran. They thought the wrestling was going to cross each other out. Both of them. He ended up having cardio for that fight, whereas Duran got tired in that fight, got clipped, and got a lot of trouble in that fight. Phil's got the wrestling. He's got the strength. Phil
got in trouble with DC, too, in that one.
Why is that? Oh, that's right. That is right. I forgot about that. I do remember that. Yeah, don't act like you beat me. Like that's
well.
No.
I don't match the fights, you know,
Yeah.
and he's right. He doesn't. So
Yeah. No, I think that when you look at Phil Hawes and all the things that he has that he brings to the table, he's got all the talent, everything. It's like look, let's go into like, if I was to shape this a certain way, you could look at him, and I know it's not quite the credentials or the level of like, say, a Bo Nickel. There's all this hype kind of going into. Phil Hawes didn't have that type of hype, but there was a little bit surrounding him coming in.
Oh yeah, he had that hype
Not
because he was coming
hype.
out of. Nah, not quite Bo Nickel,
hype.
but you got to figure he was coming out of being John Jones's training partner.
Yeah,
and he went to the Dana White Contender Series and he got put away.
Yeah,
and it was a big blow,
Mhm.
you know, to what he was doing. So he's had big hype. He doesn't have Bo Nickel hype is not. That's not something that happens that often.
well, I mean, like, he's backing it up though, so it's hard to derail the
There you
train
go.
right now that he's having
That's true.
great performances. But with Phil Hawes, it's been this, like you said, there was a little bit of hype coming in. Now, can we get back on track? Can we get him to the point where he just needs to just keep a steady of, say, 3 or 4?
He's going against a tough fight.
The thing that scares me about Bruno is that he's explosive. He's got big power in his hands. He's
Yes,
short
he
in
does.
stature.
He can smack.
And he can, like you said, he can swat. And on top, like, if Phil Hawes wants to wrestle, it's going to be a hard takedown for him. Not in so much as because Bruno's a good wrestler. It's because he's like a shorter guy. It's going to be hard to get down low enough to get in deep enough on those. He's going to have that low stance. He's going to have some power. Like, you don't want to get caught coming in with an uppercut or a left hook, any of those things. There's going to be a lot there right now, I think, and it's going to be difficult for him to get in deep on those takedowns. He might be able to get 1 or 2 early, but Bruno's somebody that, John, he can go. Like, he will continue to go. I mean, he came up short in his last fight, but he had some great fights before that, though, with some big power
He was
shots.
undefeated.
Remember, he beat RoboCop.
Yeah, he got pulled in last minute for that fight, and he put it on him. You know, and he's got power.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And he is stocky, and he can wrestle.
Yeah.
He's not a true wrestler as far as the way that you would say a guy with credentials, but he can wrestle. And like you said, he's built like a fire plug. So he's not easy to get, to change your levels on him. You got to get really low.
Yeah. I mean, with Bruno, I think the speed of his exchanges, the way he kind of like stays crouched in, very kind of almost a little bit defensive, but he opens up at the last second. If he finds that chin, Phil Hawes will be counting the lights.
But do you think that his first loss is going to have an effect on the way he fights?
I think it is. Because of the way he lost. I mean, he was out, and then he got jumped on. He got hit a couple more times after that. He was out. So I think he'll still fight a little careless, but I think that he's going to I think he'll end up with that split second hesitation in some of the exchanges. And instead of throwing back like he would have before, he'll try to circle out and get away and create more space. I think also he'll try to do that as well, because he'll want to avoid the takedown. He'll want to avoid any of the exchanges where he ends up being pressed to the fence and held against. Remember one of Phil Hawes' first fights? All he did was hold the opponent against the fence, and everyone's like, "Man, what's all this hype around this guy? I thought his wrestling was good." All he did was hold him against the fence, and he got tired halfway through the second round. I was like, "Man, he's not showing anything." All that hype had went away because he had one bad performance. I think in this fight, Bruno's got to make sure he doesn't put his back to the fence and allow Phil Hawes to keep him there. Yeah,
true. All right, we have the living legend in Andre Arlovski. You talk about a guy. What was Andre Arlovski's first fight? Who was his opponent, and what show was it?
John, how the hell would I know? It was like 4. How the fuck would I know? I was 4 years old.
I want you to think about this. Think about this. Your first show with the UFC was UFC 44?
Yes.
Andre Arlovski's first show with the UFC.
23.
Against Aaron Brink, 28.
The 28.
28. Can you believe that?
Against Aaron Brink.
And he's still fighting. Aaron Brink. Remember Aaron Brink?
Oh, I know.
Went into porn?
Him. Yep. Yep, I remember him. He died, right?
He might have.
No. Sorry, I'm thinking of Justin Eilers. My bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Justin Eilers. I can't remember.
No, Justin Eilers did fight
Yep.
Andrei Arlovsky.
Yep, he did.
Yep.
He fought Mike Kyle. He fought Andrei Arlovsky. Yep.
Justin Otters was a funny dude.
He was a wild man. He was from the Boise area.
Dude.
He was from Boise, Idaho area.
Yeah.
Yep. Him and Mike Kyle played ball together. I think they were roommates in college. And then they ended up having to fight each other in the UFC.
I think he played at Ohio State, didn't he?
I think he played at Boise first. Then he made it transferred.
I don't know.
I think he was at Boise or he was at Montana or something like that. But yeah, I think they were down there. Something like that. Maybe they played at, I don't know. I got to remember.
Rest in peace, Justin.
Yeah. He was a wild child, man. He was a wild child.
He was. Dude, I used to, every time, here's a little Justin Eiler story. His manager was Monty Cox.
Yep.
And, he was with the Militich fighting systems and all those guys. And so they tell me, hey, John, come here. And this is before he's going to fight. And I think it was before the first time I did it, he was going to fight Paul Buentello. And they said, hey, Justin, he was in like Thailand and he picks up this girl and,
I can just sense where this is going.
Yeah. You know exactly where it's going. Well,
keep going.
So Justin picks up the girl and, Justin is making out with the girl and the girl ends up not being a girl, ends up being a guy. Right. So the big thing was with Justin was, hey, it was a girl from the waist up. Right. So,
that's one way of looking at it.
So I'd go in to talk to him and I'd go over the rules and say, hey, Justin, last thing, let me ask a question of you. Is it a girl if it's a girl from the waist up? Right. And he goes, fuck you, John. Fuck you, John.
Man.
Every time.
But John, that's no different than dating in 2024 these days. So that's where we're at right now.
It's all the same.
It's all the same, fellas. It's all the same. We'll just have to keep dating people from the waist up.
That's it. It's all about the waist up.
I mean, look, Andrei Arlovsky, this is not an opponent you want to fight. If you're Andrei Arlovsky, at the age you're at.
Good power.
Yeah. Waldo's got power. He's explosive. He's kind of that guy that he'll take a shot to give a shot. He still has a great chin.
But if you are Andrei has changed his fighting style. Mm-hmm. And at one point, Andrei has a decent ground game. Why not take him to the ground? Why not work for that takedown?
This is true.
John,
I've repeatedly said, if you have any, and I mean, I'm talking like a fraction of wrestling in the heavyweight division, you can get 2 or 3 wins and make some money. Easy money. And look, as much as Acosta is good on the feet, he's just as bad on the ground.
Yes, exactly it.
And so when I look at Andrei, you've been in the sport so long, and I know he can wrestle. He trained at AKA for a while, about a year. He can wrestle. Now, he wasn't taking Kane and DC down, okay, but he was wrestling. He could wrestle. He was taking Paul Buentello down. He was able to take Mike Kyle down. He was able to take some of the other guys down that were in there. He had a couple good scrambles with some big time. Some guys that came. There was a guy named Mark Ellis that came in from Mizzou.
Oh, Mark Ellis from Missouri.
Yep, he came and he wrestled.
Mark Ellis was an NC2A champion.
Yes, he was. And Mark was able to dominate him. But where the boxing came in, Mark struggled because the boxing and the kicking from Andrei, different levels at the time when it came to that, putting the fight game together. But if he can get Acosta thinking about the takedown, that will make him hesitant on the feet. A split second
slow
hesitation.
Slow him down a little bit on the feet. That's right.
Yes. I can't. I feel like when I break these fights down, John, I feel like sometimes I repeat myself because it's so when you're a coach, it's so easy for me just to say like, hey, if we threaten this a little bit, it'll change the way he looks at the fight this way. So we've got to add that in there. I'm not saying we need to commit to it. I'm not saying we need to grind on this and get this thing going like where you get tired.
It's like adding seasoning into something. Just throw that little bit of seasoning into it because it will adjust what's occurring.
John's like a fucking Salt Bae, man. Just like this. Just doing the whole thing like this.
Oh, baby.
Salt Bae. So I agree. Just you got to add these little tiny things in. And I feel like I constantly am repeating myself going, hey, we threaten this a little bit, it'll change here. If I do this, it'll make him want to do this. This is what the fight game is about. If you guys go back and listen to the Bobby Green interview that we did, Bobby's like, Josh, he said himself, he's like, Josh, you were probably one of the smartest fighters I ever fought because I could see your mind working every time.
So you had to bring that up, didn't you?
I had to, yeah, because I mean,
yeah, I understand.
I did fight. I feel like I did fight pretty smart for all the tools that I didn't have. Everyone had more power. Everyone was stronger. Everyone was a better wrestler. Everyone was a better striker. Like everyone, they always had some sort of big advantage over me. So I had to fight a smart fight otherwise. And I had a long career. And
you had a long career.
And those are the things, like you have to fight smart. I mean, I didn't get punch drunk until towards the end. And so this is where we're at now. But it's you've got to fight smart. You've got to find ways to get in. And Andrei Arlovski has been that person the second half of his career. He's found ways to win. He's found ways to be competitive. And in the heavyweight division, it doesn't take much, a tiny bit of wrestling, and it makes you successful.
Yeah, I agree.
Good for him, though. He's still doing it. Gosh, damn. I was like 4 years old when he had his first fight in the UFC.
All right, we got Matthew Semelsberger against Preston Parsons. I like Semelsberger. He's a gritty, gutsy fighter. He goes after people. He's got skill, but sometimes doesn't fight smart. And I know we say that a lot, but you can look and you can say, don't freaking go into your opponent's strength. Make him go into your strength. And it's the one thing that I've seen out of Semelsberger where, he's got the full game. But there's always going to be that person that's better on the ground, or there's always going to be that person that's better in the stand-up. Well, switch it up, man. Don't just engage with them in that realm that they're the best.
Yeah,
and that's the one thing that I've seen out of him. But this is actually a really good welterweight matchup between these two. Parsons is tough, he's good, and Semelsberger is that guy. Man, he can beat just about anybody on a given night when he fights good, when he fights smart.
How does he get this fight, though? How does he get it done?
Against Parsons, I think he's really going to have to be very strategic in his stand-up. He's going to have to be a guy that don't throw looping shots. Everything's straight, down the middle. Make Parsons have problems as far as when he wants to take you to the ground or any of those things, because Parsons will wrestle, and make him have to go around.
Yeah.
Make him have to throw his shots around. You know where his shots are going to go if you're throwing straight shots, and your straight shots will get there faster than his looping ones.
I agree. I think Semelsberger is like, he's one of those guys that's not great anywhere. He can mix it up and do everything a little good, doing everything really well. And Parsons can kind of neutralize, negate whatever it is he's doing. But he's got to Parsons going to have to get off after he negates everything that Semelsberger does. And
Yeah.
I look at Semelsberger and I think to myself, good fighter, just for some reason can't seem to put a string of wins together.
Yeah.
Get one or two and then lose.
And part of that is the level of competition for him is not, everybody's tough now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's good, for the most part that he's facing. And so he doesn't get the easy fights anymore. He doesn't get the guys that, you should walk right through this guy. That's gone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Next fight, one of our own Bay Area guys.
Yes, sir. Marcus McGee taking on Gaston Bolanos. Is it the Dream Killer?
Yeah, I think it is the Dream Killer.
The Dream Killer?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Gaston Bolanos, in the stand-up, Gaston Bolanos he's got talent. Yep. He is a skilled stand-up fighter. His ground game has improved vastly. It used to be absolutely his Achilles heel, and anybody that would face him would work towards taking him to the ground and just neutralizing him there. But McGee is a guy who, he's tough. He's strong physically. He just comes after people, but sometimes his style is exactly what Bolanos loves.
Yep.
Okay, so look out for the spinning elbow attacks, because Bolanos loves setting up guys that like to put pressure and come forward and throw. Bolanos usually has an answer for that type of pressure.
I feel like the UFC really is looking for a highlight reel knockout from Bolanos.
Oh, yes.
They're setting this fight up to get an action-packed prelim fight that gets people just to tune in and start watching from there. I think McKee is somebody who can bring the fight. He will be a little sloppy, a little loopy. He's
tough though. He goes forward.
He will try to mix up the wrestling, but his wrestling isn't double leg wrestling. It's more like I'll punch and dip my head down and try to body lock you and run you over.
Yeah.
But Gaston Bolanos, I've trained with him. I've worked with him. I've grappled with him. He's been out there at Alpha Male training. He trains out there also. He trains at CSA. And then when he also comes down to AK and trains with Adam Piccolotti, gets some work down there at AK. So he was bouncing from gym to gym to gym, going, an hour and a half one way and going an hour and a half the other way, or an hour the other way to train at AK. One way to go to Alpha Male, get the wrestling in up there with those guys and some speed and fast and the quick agility guys that are his size. And then coming to AKA and getting like top-notch level wrestling with some top-notch level jiu-jitsu. With some hard sparring rounds with guys maybe a little bit bigger, and a little bit, probably like a little bit more controlled people that he's trained with consistently, whether it's Adam Piccolotti or some other guys, Adam Antolin, or, some smaller guys that he knows he can control and just try to work with and work on some new things. I feel like he's come a long way.
He has come a long way. And
we're going to see some improvements. He's 7-3, his losses have been to guys that have been able to basically out-grapple him, control him, and out-position him. But he's got to be very cautious with McGee. He's got to make sure that he's not spinning too much and giving his back too much in the exchanges, because those type of things could lead to you getting body locked and taken down pretty easily. And once you end up on bottom, it doesn't matter if you're training jiu-jitsu with world-class guys. The guy you're in there in the cage is bringing a different type of pressure that you haven't felt before. No matter how good your guys are, you train. This guy it's a different feel. No matter, like, I've trained with so many top world-class guys. When I've gotten in there and I'm like, you're not anywhere near as good as these guys, but man, you got some pressure. You're a little bit stronger than I thought.
You got a thing. Yeah. Everyone does.
Yeah. You've got to think, how am I going to get out from underneath this guy? He's different. Like, it's not, he's squeezing harder, or he's not.
That's because everyone has that thing that they're good at. Mm-hmm. They don't always get to employ it, but if they do and you get stuck with it, then you're trying to figure out, how do I get past this? Because once they're in their realm, hey, it's tough to get past. Some of these guys are really good. Everyone's got I talk about everyone's got a different squeeze, and they do. Some guys squeezes, you think, it's not that tight, but it's effective, and they do it well, and they clamp down and they just hold on. And then some guys have a squeeze that you go, holy shit. Yeah. I thought my head was going to pop off.
It's true. I mean, as much as people want to give, Phil Baroni shit, man, that guy was fucking cock strong. That guy was so strong. I was like, holy shit. Like, when I was grappling him, I was like trying to throw his legs to the side and they didn't move. I was like, what the fuck? Like, he was, but you could also tell he was one of those guys that was so stiff. He had no flexibility whatsoever. Yeah. Like, bend down, touch your toes. Couldn't do it. Like, put your shoe on. Fucking, I need someone to help me. Do you have a shoehorn? Like,
what?
Yeah, he couldn't put his, that's why he walked around in sandals all the time. He very rarely wore shoes. Yeah, he was always had sandals on because he just couldn't, or he wore the slip-on shoes. Shit, he could just slip on and off. It was funny. He was so he just had no flexibility whatsoever. None.
Oh my God.
None. Yeah. It was hilarious to watch him try and scratch his back. He literally would walk around, because he lived with me for about 3 years. He would he'd walk around my house just scratching every corner with his back. Like, yeah, I'd have like dirt marks, my corners would be like a black spot, like this big, and it just
rub off
from his back. Yeah, it's from his back. I hope he's doing well, and he's in jail in Mexico right now. But
I don't think he's doing well.
I know, but I hope he's doing okay. Wishes go out to him. I know he's not going to hear this, but let me see what else we got on here. I can't see, Dave. Can you make that bigger for me, please?
Well, he's got the wrong thing up there. So,
jeez.
All right, we got Farid Basharat against Taylor Lapilus.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Basharat's 11-0. He's good. He's got good hands. Good on the
really
ground.
good hands.
He's got good hands. He's not bad on the ground. He's got good decent takedowns, not great takedowns. But John is 11-0. Those guys, when people were undefeated, coming into a big situation. What does he got? He got 2 fights or 3 fights in the UFC, I think already. I think he's got 2. 3 or 2 or 3.
I think it's 3. He's been around he's been there for a little bit.
Where's he at? He's got 2. Yeah.
Oh,
Dana
White.
White.
Yeah.
But he got the win over Damon Blackshear. You know, unanimous decision, and then his win over Rodriguez with the arm triangle choke. I mean, he's good, John. He's kind of well rounded. I look at him and I look at some of the other guys in that weight class. What is that? Bantamweight, I believe, right? Or is that 125? Yep. I think it's bantamweight.
No, that's bantamweight.
It's bantamweight. Yeah, bantamweight. And there's plenty of guys with a win like this. If he has an impressive win over Taylor, I think he's got a good chance of them giving him somebody in that top 15, top somewhere, being 11-0. What are we holding you back for? You ready to go? Yeah. Dave, can you pull up the bantamweight rankings for me, please? There we go. Get these glasses on for you guys. Dave's going to make it bigger. There we go. Let's go all the way down there. Chris Gutierrez, I mean, he doesn't want no part of Umar or probably not even Ricky or Jonathan Martinez, Pedro. I mean, realistically, it'd be like, maybe he does need to wait. I take it back. Maybe he does. I mean, after what I've seen in his last
when you're looking at the bantamweights,
yeah, it's just such a stacked
That's
division.
a rough go.
I mean, John, I look all the way down. Umar's number 14.
Yep.
Jonathan Martinez number 12.
That's right.
That's insane, man.
Dominic Cruz is number 10. And that one is you can look no matter what he wants to say. Dominic Cruz had a hell of a career.
Absolutely.
And at one point, that dude was a monster. He was so difficult for people to fight. I know that they were talking about Cody Garbrandt and putting him and Dominic back together again. And the best part is Cody Garbrandt says, no, I don't want that.
No.
And I don't blame him.
No, I don't.
Because he put on a masterful performance. Yeah. And you're not going to beat that performance.
Doesn't matter what he does. He's got a highlight reel knock him out.
Yeah. And that's not easy to do.
No, it's not going to be easy to do. So. And I mean, there's a knock. Dom's got a win after he lost to Vieira, right? To Chito?
To Chito,
I think he's got one win after that.
Did he?
I believe so.
I didn't think he fought again.
Has he fought? Nope.
That's
his last fight. What was that, 2022? Yeah. Jeez, man. All of 2023 off. 2023.
He's being smart.
No, he is. I mean, look, he's always been a very, very smart fighter, Dom has.
Yep.
Smart fighter, and he still has a little bit of that speed. He is slowing down. He's 38. That style is just so difficult to deal with, but he becomes more hittable as he slows down with that style. Because when he was younger, he could leave his head in those positions because he could get him out of there fast enough.
Pull it out.
Before you could get the combination there. He'd get you guessing, he'd make you flinch, and that hesitation, he could land his shot and get out of there before you could get your foot up to his face, up until he fought Chito Vera. Now, if you go back down into some of these other guys, I mean, that are, outside of that, they're just all young. They're all young and up and coming that are in there. And it's like, I don't know.
If you take a look, go back to the top 15 there, Dave, real quick. But if you take a look at, age wise, he's I believe he's the oldest in that group. I think he's older than Aljamain. He's definitely older than Merab. He's older than Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely Sandhagen, Peter Yan. He's older than all of them.
Yeah,
he's the old man there.
Yep.
It's rough.
Where do you put? Go back to our fight card. When you're looking at Basharat, he's 11-0, a win over Taylor. If he gets a highlight reel knockout, do you start thinking about them putting him against someone like Chris Gutierrez, or do you think? I mean,
that's exactly who. Honest to God, you just named the guy.
Yeah.
That if I was going to say who would I match him up with,
yep.
Well, I got to match him up against somebody that I think is a solid fighter. Got really, good technique. A guy that can, go. A guy who's shown toughness in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Gutierrez would be the guy that I think I'd put him against.
Yeah, I agree. Dave, go back all the way up to the top of the card. I want to play around with this a little bit. Where do you see at the end of this fight card? Where do you see for the main event? Where do you see them going next? If I was to pick, you were to pick their next fight. Let's just say Johnny Walker wins. Who do you want to see him fight next? Ankalaev, if he wins, who do you want to see him fight next? Go to the heavyweight, the 205 pound of rankings, please, for me, Dave. Because if Ankalaev wins, that puts him right there next to Pereira. And then you got Jamal Hill, as Dave likes to call him.
Yes.
If Hill is out for another probably 6 months at least, and Yuri Prochaska, I mean, him, Ankalaev and Prochaska, I could see, or just do you have him skip Yuri and go right to the title shot?
All depends on who you want for that title shot.
Yeah.
Who are you looking to put that in? And is, it's just a rumor, but is Alex going to go up and fight in heavyweight real quick? He might. And so if he does, there kind of goes that, title shot for somebody as far as that. So that could definitely put it in. I'm being honest. If I had Johnny Walker right now and he gets the win, I'm going to put him against Rakic.
Oh,
I believe that would be the fight that I would put him against. If Ankalaev wins, then I say Prochaska or he gets a title match.
Yeah. I mean, if he beats Ankalaev, got to be honest. If he beats Ankalaev, I'm taking him right to Yuri. I'm taking him right.
You're going to go Johnny Walker all the way to Yuri?
Well, if he beats Ankalaev, because Ankalaev's number 3. I'm not going to go backwards to have him fight Rakic after he just beat Ankalaev. I'm going to have him fight.
He's not going backwards.
Yes.
Rakic is 5.
Yeah. Ankalaev is 3. If he beats Ankalaev, he'll be 3.
But that means that Ankalaev will go down and Rakic will go up.
Yeah, but Johnny Walker will still be ranked ahead of Rakic.
No, he won't. He's not going to jump him.
By 2 spots, John, he is ranked higher.
He's not going to jump him.
You don't think he's going to jump him?
He's not going to jump him.
I think he jumps him. I think Ankalaev will drop to probably where Rakic is, and because Jan will stay ahead of him. And I think that Rakic and Walker will be 3 and 4, and Walker and then Blachowicz will be 5, and Ankalaev will be 6. But the fight, if Walker loses, I would like to see Krylov and Walker fight.
Yeah,
that'd be a good.
Nikita's good.
Yeah,
Nikita's good.
Be a good scrap.
He can fight. Yeah.
Pull up the co-main, Dave. Thanks, bud. Ankalaev versus Manel. Where do you see them after this fight?
I'll tell you what. Right now, if you're looking at Ankalaev, I would say that a fight between him and
pull up the rankings, Dave.
And again, it depends on if someone is hurt or not. But Kai Kara France, would be right there for him if you were going to look at it.
Yeah.
And he's only 1 ahead of him, and Manel's just 1 below him. So I think that would be Kai Kara France would be good. Brandon's coming off of the loss, and Amir's got his fight coming up against Moreno. So Kai Kara France would be the one.
Yeah, that's true. So you're saying that's Ankalaev. Ankalaev gets a win. You see him against Kai Kara France.
Same with Manel.
Oh, same with Manel.
Whoever wins it, I say Kai Kara France is their next. And Kai Kara France and Manel, that would be good because they've already had, words and a little run in and stuff. So that would be.
They were throwing the F word around, right there, weren't they?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, as long as it's above the waist, right?
That's it. As long as it's a girl above the waist.
Girl above the waist. I would like to actually see Manel versus like someone like Brandon Royval. I think Albazi's wrestling would be too much for him. I think Moreno would be able to get takedowns maybe, or just mixing it up too well. But I'd like to see probably a Brandon Royval fight. That would put him almost next in line for a title shot. And Royval can wrestle. He can strike. He puts it all together very well. He's a dog. I think if Manel gets a dominant win over Ankalaev, I'd like to see that fight. I would have to agree with you though. If Ankalaev gets a win, I'd like to see Kai Kara France. Let's see if Kai can stop the takedowns and make him pay every time he does stop the takedown. Because almost all of these guys are going to try to take Kai Kara France down, except for probably Manel Cop.
True.
You know?
Which is why it's a great fight.
You know, as I'm looking at this rankings, though, you know, you got Mokaev. I'd like to see him jump all the way up to like someone like a Royval.
Oh, so would I.
Wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'd like to see that.
you said if there was, you know, we talked about it. That was my pick for if there's going to be a change in the flyweights.
This is true.
Kind of going with him.
This
He's
is
good.
true.
He's talented.
This is true. All right, hey guys, I want to thank you guys so much for following us. Look, we're going to change this up and hit up on our page, subscribe, follow us. We've got extra videos to be dropping. John and I are going to be filming this format a little bit different coming into 2024. Something we're brainstorming over. You know, we need you guys to share our videos and our content. So we're going to start filming the full fight breakdowns, a little bit more in depth on this show. But then on our live chat over at onlyfans.com/weighing-in, we are going to do an even deeper dive into those. We talk about coaches and all those other things. Talk about how we think their camps are going. Really try to break down what's next for them and where does it put them after all of this, if they do win or if they do lose. So that's what we're going to be looking to do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show and
snapping that soda open.
Go to weighing in. Go to weighingin.merch.com. Pick up some of our hoodies and sweaters. It is getting cold, John. It is going to be on Sunday and Monday here in Dallas, Texas. It will be 1 and 2 degrees.
Same here. 3 degrees.
Holy shit!
We're a whole degree warmer than you.
Great.
I know.
All right, guys. Well, hey, hopefully you guys enjoy the show.
Shit's not funny.
And we will, John. See ya.
See ya.